Did I have my mic muted the whole damn time again? All right. So we'll take it from the top, I guess. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. This is the Women Make Me Angry Story Time Hour. We try to keep it to about an hour. We go over all the topics that are out there in the dating world and what we can do to change it, to do things better. I just had an opening all set up, went through using some different software tonight. So I'm getting better at it. Okay. So let's try that again. Okay, everyone. Before we get into it, let's have a word from one of our great sponsors. Time to. Ooh, can we not? Hold on. Hold that thought for a minute as we work through the hiccups that we have. Okay. We're going to hold off on that. We're going to circle back to that one and we'll go with this. All right, folks. It's Saturday night. I'm sure you heard me or didn't hear me, and we're going to get into it. This show is basically about the perils of dating and can it get any better and will it get any better and what to do if you run into these type of situations. I use a certain subject that ran into me, about what? Almost a month now from here. And was nice enough to lend me her dating blog. So I am reading stories from the dating blog and then we can assess how to handle those type of situations and then we can go from there. Perfect. All right. So, um title of tonight's show is The Smackdown. And no, we're not talking about the debate that was just recently on. I'll touch on that for a few minutes. We'll have a uh, better breakdown on Tuesday's show of the Angriest Man in Orlando. I've actually got a little surprise for everybody this Tuesday at 8. I'm not going to tell you about it just yet, but you'll definitely want to tune in because it's going to be very informative. So, the quick synopsis of it was nothing happened. I didn't think anything was going to happen. And I actually watched the debate of the debate with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And nothing happened on that. Everyone pretty much read their bullet points, explained what they were trying to do and how the other person just wasn't doing that. And this campaign has basically become fear and loathing, I think. Fear and loathing. And we're not even in Las Vegas. So the Democratic side looks in shambles. It's a lot of a mess. I'll give you a better breakdown of where they're going on Tuesday because I don't even think they know where they're going. There's a lot of things being thrown out right now, but I can tell you right now from what I've been looking into and investigating, it's not going to be as easy as they think it's going to be to do this. So I've got some good investigation stuff that I found that's actually going to put pretty much the kibosh on this whole thing. And we'll have to figure out what to do after that. So that's Tuesday on the Angriest Man in Orlando show. We'll break down that. I'll have a special little surprise to go through. Very informative with everybody. So tune into that. As for tonight's show, I did speak about a disclaimer earlier. So let me just say it once again. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about adult themes. Some of these themes may trigger you or possibly upset you. So I do ask if anytime you feel upset or triggered, simply just turn the show off. Come back to it later if you want to. If you don't worry. You're not missing anything in your life, so be okay. These are mostly for entertainment and informative purposes. So I wanted to put that out first before we get into the story for tonight. So The story starts like this. This is a girl. We call her Janice. She goes on dates, and some of the best things don't ever happen to her. Now, you could feel bad, you could feel sad, you could feel like maybe she deserved it. I don't really know. We've got a few more stories over the next couple weeks. I'm going to listen to all of them and make a judgment off of that. And then we go from there. But tonight, let's get into it. This is from her perspective. So this is not me. I am not involved in any of these stories. And I will better explain all the story at the end. That's the best way to explain it right now, because once you hear this, you'll know why I'm very cautious and hesitant tonight about reading this. It touches on some stuff. So let's get into it. Okay. It was on no particular Sunday evening that I matched with Jamal. Being a weekend worker, I had already worked for 9 hours that day, and even though I was feeling tired, I also felt happy to have my Friday. Not sure why Friday's in quotation marks here. It's either a Friday or it's not a Friday. Friday night just starting. I don't know what that means. I rushed home so that I could shower and make myself beautiful for my evening with him. Okay, here's your first problem right there, trying to rush into this stuff. Okay, don't rush. I've learned when you rush, it turns out like shit. When you start talking to somebody, start talking to them. I have a 24-hour rule. Okay, you send the comment, you wait 24 hours. If they don't respond in 24 hours, they probably didn't want to respond, or they just terrible timing. If they respond within the 24 hours, start a conversation. Get a conversation going. It can go for a couple days, it can go for a week. Within the first 3 days, set up a date. So if you start talking on a Monday, by about Thursday, you should have some kind of plan for the weekend, and you go from there. A lot of times, do dates on weekends. A lot of people, work late or have a lot of stuff going on outside of their work life. So doing dates after work, not always the best. Not always the best. So if you start talking to somebody on a Thursday or Friday, just push something to the weekend. If they really want to meet you, they will work within that boundary. Both sides, man, woman, both sides. If they want to meet you, they will work within that boundary. That's the point of the first date, is just to meet, talk, get to know you better, get a physical sense of who you are. That's it. So if you start talking to somebody on Friday morning and by Friday night you're like, let's go meet for drinks, it is not going to end well. Not going to end well. So red flag number 1. Well, let's move on. As I walked through the front door, I got a text from Jamal telling me that I would need to wait until after he was done watching his football game for us to meet up. Red flag number 2. Other than feeling less important than a football game on television, I decided to agree to a later meet time and use that extra time to make myself presentable. Besides, we all know that if you rush the eyeliner process, you ruin the eyeliner process. I did not know that. Did not know that. Don't rush your eyeliner process. There you go. There's tip of the night right there. When I arrived to the brimming restaurant, I called Jamal so he could help me locate his position. Okay. As I approached him, I was slightly dismayed to see that he was wearing a gray hoodie, sweatpants, and flip-flops. Okay, here's red flag number 3. We're up 3 so far. This would have been 3 strikes. Yeah, I'm out. But guy says, hey, let's go out. Okay. Well, wait till after my football game. Then when you show up to meet this guy, he's wearing which it's she says it's a restaurant. Wearing a gray hoodie, sweatpants, and flip-flops. Okay, I understand it's Florida, or at least I think this was Florida. It gets warm, and sometimes flip-flops are what most people wear around here, especially in the summer when it rains. They don't want wet shoes and wet socks. But the hoodie and sweatpants pretty much tells you don't give a damn. So, what's the point? What do you really expect out of this date? Let's find out. I tried to keep my mouth and attitude in check and greeted him warmly. You look gorgeous. BS detector going off. And he said, as he gave me a side hug, thank you. You look cozy, I said. I tried to keep the bite out of my words, but I was choking on the irritation in my throat. Why had I gone full runway with my hair, makeup, and outfit when his level of commitment to this moment was simply to roll out of bed and put the keys in the ignition? R. Kelly reference right there? No? No? Okay. Shortly after I started sipping on my beer, the restaurant buzzer they had given him began to shake. We sat down at our table, me with my beer and Jamal with his water. Well, he's drinking water. Hey, good for him. Sometimes you don't need liquid courage. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Are you not drinking? Do you not drink? He said, no, but don't worry. I don't mind paying for your beer if you want me to. Um, Maybe I'm old fashioned, but the mere fact that we are on a date indicates that he would be paying. But maybe this assumption is born from the last 16 years of dating and about, a lifetime of male female interactions and should not have been applied to this moment. Actually, in hindsight, this should have been my first red flag for Jamal. This, this she thought was the first red flag. This, paying for the date. Not the quickness of trying to get in your pants, not the showing up in a hoodie, not giving a damn, telling you to wait all night. This, this was the first red flag for her. Wow. Let's okay, all right, okay, all right. Holy smokes. His idea of feminism means men don't have to pay for anything. I don't even think he understands feminism. What the fuck? Holy. Forget the fact that I had spent 2 hours getting ready and then nearly an hour in the car just to meet up with him. Okay, so this is why, especially if you're in a big city, date within 20 miles of wherever you are. Don't bother saying, well, it's only a 30-minute drive out there, 45-minute drive out there. With traffic, it's probably close to an hour. So try to date locally, especially if you're in a city. Now, if you're in the middle of Indiana watching this or Illinois, I completely understand. It could be an hour to the next town and you may meet somebody in the next town. Okay. Try to meet somewhere halfway. I know there's long stretches of road out that part of the country. I spent some time out there. So I understand it's not the easiest, but you can kind of like reverse roles. One person goes out to them, then the next week person goes out to the other one, and you kind of beat the driving a little, especially with the prices of gas right now. It's freaking incredible. So you kind of want to like break it in half, the driving and stuff, if you can. And then if you can't, you have to go to the other town. Try to, you know, meet halfway, figuratively, with some of this stuff. Like, that's how you're going to know you're with somebody good. If they're willing to work with you on some stuff, that's when you know you got somebody good. All right. His idea of feminism. Holy cow. Forget the fact that I had spent 2 hours getting ready and then nearly an hour in the car just to meet up with him. Don't get me wrong. I endorse feminism. No surprise. And the notion that a strong woman can pay for her own meals and drinks, should she choose to. But I have also been raised with the notion that on a date, a man should pay. Woo. So she wants a little from both. Now I'm surprised. This dude even offered to pay. I thought he was going to go Dutch and try to split the payment. But, last week we heard the guy basically say, don't worry about it. And then when he got the payment, he booked it out of there. So at least this guy's hanging around saying he's going to actually pay for this thing. So I guess she's getting better with the dating. I don't know. Let's find out. This is what she believes. I believe a man who offers to pay is a gentleman. And I think a lot of women would agree with me. I agree with you also. It would be interesting to dissect this tradition. Where did it come from? Perhaps it came from the fact that men have always made more money than women. Holy. All right. No, this is not from the fact that men have made more money than women. This is not that. I've broken this down before. We are all animals. We are all creatures. This goes way back to primordial days. Way back. The reason men pay for dinners is they are providing the food. Hence, back in the day, they would provide the food. Group of men would get together, go kill a woolly mammoth, cut it up, bring the food back. Now, there was no refrigeration back in that day, so you had to eat it quickly. So they would roast it over fire. Fire had been invented shortly before that. And they would provide the food to children and women of their, cave or, little family that they were building, whatever was, whatever they were in, community. I hate that word, but we'll use it, community. So the tradition of men providing a meal for a date goes all the way back to that. It's simple. It's not hard. There was no money back then. You traded things for seashells and shiny objects. Okay? Stop thinking that money is the beginning of everything. No, this stuff was going on way before money was ever invented. It was basically used the same way and the same services for services and stuff. But that's where it came from. That's why men still have this feeling they need to provide. They need to build homes. They need to build families. They need to make sure everybody is safe. They need to make sure everybody has a meal and is full. It's survival and the process of survival. So that's where it comes from. So to people now trying to change this narrative and be like, oh, I'm an independent woman. Okay, there's a problem. Men are not wired to accept that. So you're going to have a real big issue trying to find guys who are big, strong men who want to provide to sit down and say, I don't need to do this. You're going to provide. This is kind of weird. I don't feel right. I don't know why I don't feel right, but I don't feel right. Because naturally, instinctively, they wish to provide. That is why we have a lot of the miscommunications we have in dating nowadays. There's a lot of other things too, but let's just stop with that so we can get through this story. All right, where was I? All right, she endorses feminism, the notion that men should pay. Da 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 da. Da. She wants to try to dissect it. Where did it come from? I think we just basically found out where it comes from. Here's her thoughts on this. Perhaps it came from the fact that men have always made more money than women and therefore can afford to pay for a date now and then. Maybe in 10 years, this tradition will be obsolete. It's just interesting to think about, but enough of this tangent. Yes. Yes to this comment right here. That's a deal breaker in some instances. Okay. That's a deal breaker in some instances. Again, you have natural, instinctive motives that keep you on a course. And really, you can even use herself as an example. She thinks of feminism, women should be strong, women should provide, but wait, not on a date. No. Nope. Not on a date. No, 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 no. Maybe in 10 years it'll change. Really, what's happening in 10 years that's going to make anything change? When you've had millions of years of evolution and things have not changed. 10 years. You know, this Earth has been around for billions of years. Things change extremely, extremely slow. Okay. I highly doubt in 10 years it's going to be any different, but who knows? We'll still be on in 10 years. We'll see what's going on. Let's get back to the story. Jamal said he wasn't that hungry. This is in parentheses. Interesting how on a dinner date, one doesn't feel hungry, but whatever. So we only order an appetizer to share. The conversation was flowing, and he, being the salesman that he is, was very charming and charismatic. He's a salesman wearing a hoodie, sweatpants, and flip flops. And he is charming and charismatic. I don't know how that equation equals out, but holy cow. I don't know how charming you can be in sweatpants. No, no, no. I discovered that Jamal was from Virginia and worked 50% of the time in Virginia and 50% of his time here. When he told me he was from Virginia, I said, Virginia is for lovers. And he smiled. How do you know about that? I seductively replied, what can I say? I'm into black men. Okay, wait a minute. 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 Let me read this conversation again. He tells her he's from Virginia. She says Virginia is for lovers. He smiles, asks, how do you know about that? She says, what can I say? I'm into black men. What? Wait a minute. What? Are there only black men in Virginia or something? Did something change? I don't quite. I don't quite understand what the hell that means. She kind of sounds racist. I'm going to say it. She kind of sounds racist. Holy cow. I might have dodged a bullet on this one. All right, let's get back into it. He blushed and admitted that he was happy to oblige my preference. All right, he might be racist too. I don't know. There are goddamn racists everywhere now. What the hell? The chemistry was there. Apparently, if you have two racists, you can have some chemistry. Holy. All right. But it didn't take long for the chemicals to combust. Oh, damn. I really thought this was going to have a happy ending. I really thought it was. Let's keep going. Jamal asked me questions about my life and my family, and I did in return. It was refreshing to be on a date with someone who was funny and sharp and totally comfortable in who he was. Well, he was very comfortable just sitting in his flip flops, very comfortable. Ah, as the conversation went on, we discussed some of our deal breakers. Okay. In parentheses, this is dating in your 30s thing. You get right to the point so that nobody wastes anybody else's time. Well, see, this this is why if you are texting with someone or online messaging between each other, this is why you conversate there first to even get to know if this person even fits your deal breakers or, as she says, and some of your vices. This is why. What the hell is wrong with you? Anyway, let's move on. Jamal admitted that he didn't have too many of his own deal breakers, but he did have some deeply controversial opinions. No. Clutch my pearls. I was intrigued by his admission. Can you give me an example of one of your controversial opinions? He hesitated slightly, but then agreed. I think it's okay for men to hit women. Okay. All right. We we opened the door to that one now, didn't we? All right. Let's push through then. My jaw might as well have hit the table at that moment. I was shocked. You think it's okay for a man to hit a woman? You can't be serious. He laughed and then clarified. No, I mean, if a woman hits a man first, then I think it's okay for him to hit her back. I couldn't believe what he was saying, but I sputtered out, it's not okay for anyone to hit anyone, but men should definitely never be allowed to hit women. He defended. I have a daughter, and I'm raising her to learn this lesson that if she hits a man, she deserves to get hit back. No, 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 no. Why do the most ignorant of our society always reproduce and then pass on their ignorance? I have one reason why. Because they never get to know who the other person is before they start banging. People just be jumping in bed with everybody else. So, yeah, the stupid make more stupid. If you really don't believe me, check out that movie Idiocracy. That came out in what, 2006? And yeah, it was supposed to be a satirical movie. It was supposed to just make fun of how society could go. But it is bloody amazing how close it's getting to that actual movie with society. So give it a watch. Idiocracy. Yeah. Give it a play, watch it, and then tell me you don't feel like that could really happen. That could really happen. Okay, so the guy says if the girl hits him first, she deserves to get hit back. Here's what I'll say to that. No. Okay. Girls are now becoming independent creatures and are now deciding to take it upon themselves to challenge conversations with physical violence. So, what I would say to that is certainly if you've got 50 to 100 pounds on the girl, do not punch her. Subdue her if you need to, using the least amount of force, which is very easy to do if you're 200, 250 pounds and the girl's 120 pounds. I can easily hold down a girl like that with no problem, without injuring her, without hurting her, if she's physically attacking me. Now, if the girl comes at you with a meat cleaver, yeah, you might have to put her down. But if she's coming at you, windmilling slaps or punches at you, defend yourself, but do not physically attack. Defending may be simple arm blocks. Okay. Using a little bit of force to push her back. I'm not saying push her to the ground, but to push her back. Hopefully, there's somebody else around who can hold her back so that nobody gets, abuse or physically, touched or beaten or anything like that. But there are ways to subdue people without injuring people. Okay. Like, it's a very fine line between defense and assault. Okay. Very fine line. So you can defend yourself, but certainly I would not say to assault somebody just because, words are thrown or she says she's going to hit you. Okay. Now, if the girl is 450 pounds, as some women are, and you're 200 pounds, run. Because someone at that weight is not going to be able to run very far. So, more than likely, you're going to outrun this person, and then they'll just tuck her out, fall over, and it's done before it even starts. So, those are the ways to diffuse situations that come about. No, I would not advise the guy to hit back. So let's see where this rolls to now. Oh boy. Okay. I said to him, Jamal, the reason it is never okay for men to hit women is because of the disproportionate difference in damage. Okay, yeah, it's a fair point. Fair point. And of course, there are always exceptions to these statements, but in general, a man can do a whole lot more damage to a woman than she can do to him. Exceptions. Exceptions. Well, I disagree, and I have my own experience to back me up, he defended. You have your own experience. What does that mean? Have you hit a woman before? Yes, and she deserved it too. What happened? Fighting my urge to walk out of the restaurant now that I know I am sitting with someone who is violent towards women. Well, then why the hell didn't you just get up and walk out? From my own experience with her, she seems to be pretty much someone who does what she wants to do. So why she didn't walk out at this point, I don't know. Let's find out. He states, I was at a football game and I was talking smack about her team. She and I started talking shit to each other. And finally, I guess I must have pushed her over the edge because she shoved me. So I punched her. Yeah. She shoves you, so you punched her. Okay, let's see what happens out of this. What? And you were arrested? Yeah, but the judge sided with me because she shoved me and basically started the whole thing. So there may have been more to the story than originally put. He seems to have simplified it very much. But for a judge to side with him, this girl must have done something much more than what he's stating here. Because any sane judge would see two people in their courtroom where one simply shoved one and the other one punched them. You would say the aggressive one was the one who punched him. So perhaps she shoved and he perhaps got injured and something happened. There's more to this story than what is being written here. So, not quite sure where to go with this, but let's see what happens. My anger welled inside me. Our judicial system and our society in general is so broken. How could a judge, I mean, if Jamal is telling me the truth, how could a judge just let a man walk free who punched a woman in the face? That being said, this woman should also not have shoved Jamal. Well, shouldn't you have said that first? Like, neither of these parties should have been harassing each other, which it seems like that's what was going on. Oh, very good. Very good point. Very good point. At this point, just say, "Excuse me, get up and leave the restaurant." Yes, she should have done that. She really should have done that. Like, why do you need an explanation from this guy you just met if you absolutely would never stand for what he's saying? Like, what's the point? You know, it's nothing is ever going to change on his part. He already did what he did for you to not like it. So if you don't accept it, why are you still playing ball at this point? But let's find out. Maybe she explains it. I don't know. Let's see. If Jamal is telling me the truth, how could a judge let a man walk free who punched a woman in the face? That being said, this woman should not have shoved Jamal. But is it a proportionate response for him to punch her or to put his hands on her at all? He had the choice to walk away. How much damage did her shove do to him? My guess, not much. Jamal is about 6'3" and probably 220 pounds. He is no mouse. He's a powerhouse. Powerhouse, eh? Okay, all right. Not to mention, Jamal also plays football and has some serious strength in his arms and legs. He could have walked away after she shoved him and reported her to the authorities. He could have taken the high road, but could have been a mature adult man and walked away. But he chose violence. Well, as they say, I woke up this morning and I chose violence. All right, so I'm very, very close to his measurements. And like I say, if this girl was, sorry about that, excuse me. If this girl was, 120 pounds, 150 pounds, like you don't punch her. Do not punch her at all. No. Now, if this girl was 450 pounds and was coming at him like a rhino, I still wouldn't have punched her, but she would have been taken down to the ground, FBI style. So if this dude supposedly played football and has the strength that she's saying, dude just has ego, man. It's hard to say. He just had ego. He got butthurt that she was saying something about his team and just kept pushing and she was pushing and they just altercated. And at that point, it's like, it's two idiots. Let them knock each other out. You sit there and say, well, why are idiots reproducing? Well, let them knock each other out so they don't. There you go. There's a hot take for you. They're both going to be morons. Let them knock each other out. That's what they used to do in ancient Rome with gladiators. Also, they would get slaves to be the gladiators too, but, you know, they also put the morons in there. Let them fight it out. Yeah. All right. Chose violence. Ooh. After realizing that he was horrifying me, Jamal tried to defend himself. Don't worry, she was a strong woman. She was a dyke. Holy. So we got more information. She was a dyke. And for anyone who doesn't know, Urban Dictionary that thing, and you'll find out. So, yeah, my guess is she was probably like 250, 300 pounds and yelling and screaming. He's yelling and screaming. He's all amped up. She's all amped up. And they went at it. And at this point, with the way I've seen stuff going, it's just insane. All that could have been settled during a phone call and meeting and never take place. Yes. Again, it goes back to the original theme. You need to learn who these people are before you start going out with them. Have a phone call, have a video call, have a text chain going so you can find out who these people are, because don't just rush off and meet people. It never ends well, as I said at the beginning of the show. But let's go, because this keeps getting better. Enraged, I said to him, "Excuse me? It doesn't matter what her sexual preference is. You had no right to punch her. And at this point, all I have heard is blah, blah, blah. It's okay to hit women, but it's not." It was at this point that Jamal stood up, pushed his chair in, and loudly proclaimed, "You know what? I don't have to sit here and listen to this. You're wrong, and you could pay for your own shit." And then he left. Just walked out and left me sitting there totally stunned. Stunned, I was telling you. Stunned. So he got up and said, "I don't have to take this anymore." And he walked out of that restaurant. And boy, it was the best thing that happened that night, because neither of these two should have been on this date. Neither of them. So, smartest move happened right there. Holy cow. Holy cow. The people at the surrounding tables just looked at me and then at Jamal as he walked out the door. Well, yeah, you know, they probably heard what was going on. I don't know about you, but I generally do kind of listen to other people at restaurants. Unless I'm having a really head-on conversation with someone at my own table. But generally, if you're there, like at a family dinner or something, you're kind of like, "Oh yeah, what's going on with cousin Ed? Yep. How's Uncle Sam? How's Aunt Diane?" But you're kind of, listening in on other people's stuff too at the same time. So people caught wind of what was going on with this, and we're like, "Oh shit, let's listen in on that one. That's gonna be something going on over there." I'm sure my face was bright red with humiliation, but I waited patiently for my frantic server to come check on me. I would have been like, "Waitress, waitress, come over here. Yeah, we're done here. Check. We're done. We're done here. We're done." I waited for what seemed like an eternity. Oh my God. I tried to just breathe and stay calm, but I was so irritated and even more embarrassed. The appetizer we had shared was sitting in front of me, but I couldn't eat another bite. I felt sick to my stomach, sick over the realization that there are still men out there who advocate for violence against women if they feel that they deserve it. All right. Okay. Okay. Here's why a lot of women are starting to get aggressive and starting to fight their own battles and engage in violent behavior. So, yeah, there are going to be some men. You call them idiots if you want. I mean, who are going to say, you know what? If violence is bestowed upon me, I will bestow violence upon them. So, yeah, there are going to be some dudes out there that are going to crack skulls no matter what the gender. So, yeah, don't be surprised by this anymore. This is not back in the day where, hey, guy knocks into a girl. Girl says, "Can you just apologize?" Guy's like, "Screw off. I ain't doing that." Guess what? Her boyfriend comes up, nails the dude in the head. He falls, and they go about their night. That's how it used to be. That's how it used to be because women weren't fighters. They weren't fighting. And unless there was some kind of interaction that didn't go well, that's what happened. Okay? When that happened, the dude would handle it. But now women want to be independent. They want to go out on their own. And now they're trying to be the same as men, but they don't want all the rules the same as men. Well, if I'm going to start a fight, no, I shouldn't get punched because I'm a woman. Well, wait a minute. Why are you starting the fight? Come on. Think about that for a minute. If you want to start the fight, why are you expecting not to get punched, kicked, whatnot? Just take a step back, pull your emotions in check, and think about what you're doing. Okay? Unless you really think you can take this dude, which I've seen a few chicks take dudes down, so I'm not gonna lie. There are a few that could just nail them, But for the most part, women, keep your emotions in check. No, I'm not saying men should hit you. I'm just saying if you light the fuse, that dynamite couldn't go off. It could be a dud. Nothing could happen, but it could go off. So think about that. Think about that. All right. The date hasn't even ended yet. Let's end this thing. My exhausted server returned and looked perplexed by the empty chair across from me. But fortunately, he didn't ask about where my date had disappeared to. I don't think he's going to. I don't even think he cares at this point. He's just like, you just bought an appetizer. I'm not getting anything off of this, so who the hell cares? I paid the tab and started to drive home. As I was driving, I received a text from Jamal. In parentheses, the woman beater. That's fair. It's fair. It's fair. I left because you were getting red in the face and you said you weren't listening to me. In parentheses again, I never said I wasn't listening. So apparently she was listening, which she did. I'm fairly, unless he means during the, I'm sure, argument before he left. She probably wasn't listening. She had seemed to already tune out at that point because she knew he's not meeting her requirements. They're going to tune out real quick, men. Men, let me tell you, once you don't meet her requirement, she will tune out real quick. Already thinking about next week. So your best bet is just to stand up, step away. Don't even bother. Don't even bother. Da, 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 da. He states, I'm a man who loves to debate and I can respect all opinions, but I could tell you we're. Hold on a second. But I could tell you we're getting uncomfortable. I enjoyed meeting you. You are drop dead gorgeous. All right, let me tell you right now, she's not drop dead gorgeous. No, she's a mid at best. At best. If you respect all opinions, you wouldn't have gotten up and left. So that blows up that argument. And number two, why would I date a mid? Because you know what? I'm a caring, compassionate person. And sometimes I like to give opportunities to people that sometimes they might surprise me. So I enjoy meeting women who are maybe not the highest caliber, but sometimes surprise me. Have wonderful lives, have interesting stories. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe a connection can happen. Or at least that's what I get told. So, you give it a try. So, was he insane? Texting me after what had just transpired? Of course, he made me uncomfortable. He was literally warning me that he would hit me one day and probably for doing nothing. I don't know where she got that from, but okay. If we decided to be in a relationship, was I ready to assume the role of abused woman? Nope. I wish there was a database where women could tip off police about potential future murderers. Okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Wow, wow, wow. The guy's an abuser, never admitted to a murderer. So I don't think we need to take that jump yet. That's a little further. Yeah. Could there be a database for people that abuse women? Sure. We could do that. But here's an instance where, this could be construed a different way. Say a woman is breaking into your home. You have to defend your home. So you punch her in the head. The police come. They arrest her. They say, well, you did hit a woman, so we've got to put you on the list. Well, wait a minute. I hit her because she was breaking into my house. Well, it's the list. Like, guys who hit women, this is the list. You got to be on it now. So doing lists has historically never been a good idea. Okay. Simply asking questions about people. And yes, some people will lie, but asking the right questions, you can usually catch a lot of people in their lies. Lying takes a lot of mental capacity to keep everything straight and in a certain line and to remember it for long periods of time, which with lies, it's very, very hard to do. You remember the truth because it actually happened, it imprints on your brain. But when you start telling lies to people, you have to keep that lie going. You have to remember it over and over and over and over again. Something that never happened. And you have to remember how it intertwined with everything at that time. So only true, I would almost say psychopaths can keep a lie going on for years and years and years and years and years. Your garden variety people you're going to meet on the street, yeah, they can lie, and in about a week, they won't even remember what they lied about. And you can catch them really quick on that. Really quick. So ask the questions to get the answers to verify later whether this person really is telling you the truth or not. So, good way to do that. Okay, so let's finish this. And this man is raising a daughter, raising her to believe she deserves to be punched in the face. Well, I think he's raising her to not become violent with men, which I think is a good thing. Certainly, I would say, teach your daughters that you're a lady. Do not raise your voice to people. Do not try to insinuate fights. If you need to defend yourself, yes, carry a can of mace, carry a small knife, a small gun, and protect yourself. Understand. Protect yourself. Like I say, there's a fine line between defending yourself and assault. If there's harm coming at you, certainly 100%, no matter who you are, defend yourself. But do not purposefully go to harm somebody else. That's the difference. That's a big difference there. So if you teach your daughter that no, you should not be fighting, you should actually have a man who protects. And even protection can be, hey, babe, don't worry about the guy. We're going to win. And he pulls her back away from the situation. Punches never thrown. Guy never hits woman. This story never happens. So, situations could have been different if she was with a man. Just saying. Just stating. But she wasn't, because she's a dyke. So, all right. This is what he says in the story. So, I don't know if she was or wasn't. I don't know. But certainly, had there been a man there, this situation might have diffused a little better. Had there been someone with a brain there, this situation would have been diffused. Let me state that for the moment. Okay. Bottom line, violence is never acceptable. All right, wait a minute. There's a joke that is always brought up with this, but it has some truth to it. If you walk in your house and you see your significant other trying to murder your children, violence is acceptable in that case. Violence is definitely acceptable in that case. So you cannot black and white this thing and say violence is never acceptable. No. Violence is acceptable in certain situations. So there you go. Man, woman, or child, violence is never appropriate. What a sad night it was for me, but by the time I returned home, I realized how the universe was looking out for me that night. What if that truth hadn't have been revealed to me until it was too late, until I was being beaten to a bloody pulp by him? Or worse. I guess in some ways, this blog isn't just satire, but it's also a good way to get the message out to women that you have to be careful about the men you spend your time with. You have to read between the lines of what they are telling you. Oh, or you don't go jump into a date right off the bat with somebody. I have to reset the camera here. So you should probably take your time getting to know somebody before going to meet them. If they put up red flags like, yeah, I punched a girl back in the day, then don't meet them. If they seem like generally nice people, go meet them in a public place. You met this gentleman in a public restaurant where there are a lot of people around. So my guess is he wasn't going to punch you right then and there. But again, you need to meet people. You need to ask them questions. You need to get to know people. That way you find out what's going on. Like it sounds to me you were just too eager to jump into a relationship that you wanted to just get it going. So take a little time, talk to people. Don't freak out though. Like if you start talking to somebody and they haven't asked you out in 2 days, like don't be like, "Oh my god, they just don't like me then." No, not necessarily. Bring it up. Hey, where do you think this is going? That's a trigger to a guy to be like, "Whoa, okay, she wants me to move forward. Would you like to go out? Would you like to go get coffee? Would you like to, go to the skating rink? Would you like to go to the movies? Would you like to go out for dinner?" If you just ask, you might get to where you want to go. Okay, let's see what happened after all this. Jamal's message was loud and clear to me. Addendum. There was something added. Hold on. It has been over a week since this explosive date, but tonight, Jamal started to send me threatening text messages out of nowhere, telling me that he was going to beat my ass, quotation marks. The police were called, a report was filed, and an investigation has been opened. The police have his number and have the text messages. And unfortunately, I am changing my number tomorrow. This will be the third time I've had to change my number due to online dating harassment from men who just don't have a clue. I've made the decision to stop dating for now. Okay, hold on. Whoa. This guy sends you a text message after you leave the restaurant stating such and such and such. You seemed really mad. Da, 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 da. Doesn't say she responded to it. Now, if she was angry enough, she probably would just, not bothered. My guess is she bothered. Because out of the blue, he starts sending text messages saying, I'm going to beat your ass. A week later, out of the blue, sends the text message, going to beat your ass. That doesn't sound right. Since he's the one who walked out, so he didn't have to pay for the dinner or the appetizer or whatever it was. Then a week later, he says he wants to beat her ass. We're missing a text message. We're missing a text message here. Possible one where we started on him. Saying, you shouldn't. What's wrong with you? Or something like, you need to stop that. Rather than just ignoring, my guess is they were missing a text somewhere here. And this is the having changed your number for the third time due to 9 days. Okay, there's two reasons for that. Okay, one, it is the guys are just you keep finding them for some reason and they're harassing the hell out of you and you keep having to change your number. Or you're harassing them, trying to fix them and give reasons to keep harassing. And you have to change your number 3 times? If you have to change your number once, okay, yeah, the dude's probably an ass. All right, change your number. 3 times? Good indication it's something you're doing. Because a lot of guys are lazy and will not bother getting into the argument, especially with a girl. They won't bother getting into the argument unless provoked. So my guess is it might be you. 3 times, it might be you. Okay. But she writes some safety tips. So let's listen on that. Don't ever give out your phone number to people you don't know. Never give anyone online your real name. Never tell anyone online where you work. Okay, I would say if you're going through an online app, yes, you don't need to give out phone numbers before you meet. You can do everything through the app because in the app, if you set up a place, a time, a day, and you be there and they there, then there's no issue. There's no issue. If you both stay connected on the app, you're able to message each other. I think pretty much anywhere in the world right now, you can get an internet signal. So you'll be able to check the app or whatever, and you'll be able to check the message if somebody's running late or something. So don't exchange phone numbers right off the bat. Never give anyone your real name. Well, okay, now you're just lying to the person right off the bat, which if they find out is going to be really bad. Because if you're lying about your name, I can only imagine what you're lying about with everything else. So that one I do not suggest. Just don't use your full name. Okay, use your first name. Just that's who you are. Don't worry about it. No, never tell anyone where you work. Even if you're just started dating someone, never give them a work location. Okay. If you work for a Walmart or Target, just say you work for Walmart or Target. If you work at a business, just say whatever your position is. Do not give them a work related address, because if things go bad, it may turn up at your workplace. And as someone who's seen this type of stuff there, it never turns out well for anybody in the situation. For the person who works there, they usually get suspended or fired. And for the other person that shows up, they usually get arrested for trespassing. So never turns out well for anybody in that situation. So yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Another tip here. Always park near the entrance of the restaurant if you can. If not, find a light or lamppost to park near. Now that's a good one. That's a good one. If you feel uncomfortable or feel unsafe, have the bartender or a member of the restaurant walk you to your car. Okay, good tip. Be careful when you give a hug goodnight. I've had my breasts and genitals grabbed by men who thought a hug gave them a free pass to violate my body. No means no. And if your date doesn't understand that, call the police immediately. Okay, yes. That is a fair thing right there. Yes. Not sure who these guys are that you're meeting, but holy. I think if you talk to them a bit more, you probably would have figured out they're pretty skeezy, and you probably wouldn't have even went on the date with them to begin with. Nice guys are going to be the ones that walk with you, hold your hand, always walk on the outside of the sidewalk, and they're going to be protective. You're going to feel it, okay? Like, kind of like an angel looking over you. If you don't get that feeling from the guy you're with, that's not a good guy. It's not a good guy. You should get that feeling like there's an angel over you. And so I say, if like the guy's getting all handsy or not exactly the guy you want to be with, and why you would even give him a hug at the end of the night if you sense that something was weird, you just say bye and you just walk away. Don't bother trying to make them feel good or anything, or feel like, oh, I have to. No, you don't have to. You just walk away. So, yeah, interesting story tonight. Ran over a little bit of time, but that's okay. That's okay. Like I said, interesting topic tonight. The violence, yeah. There shouldn't be violence against women. So there shouldn't be violence against anybody. But, in this story, that's what we're talking about, is violence against women. There shouldn't be violence against women, but women should be women. I'll say it like that. Do not step up to a fight or argument expecting to be the Karate Kid. You're not going to win it. So I'm a big dude. I'm very, very similar in size to this guy. I do not walk around starting fights. No, I do not. Okay. I've very rarely had anyone start a fight with me. I would say in my life, I've been in maybe 4 or 5 fights. That's it. A lot of times, people will not engage with me physically. Now, you get some back and forth shouting, or you get someone trying to give a smart remark at me, something. But pretty much when I turn around and stand up to them, they pretty much shut down pretty quickly. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if they just weren't into fighting or whatever, but I really, haven't been. I think for dudes who say, "Oh yeah, I'll hit a woman," I think you kind of go into the with that mentality. You almost kind of start the fight yourself because she's going to say something stupid and you're ready to just deck her. So the mentality is already there. So I would say do not hang around with people like that, male or female, because there are females ready to start a brawl at any moment too. And usually those chicks, when they go fight, another chick lay her out by 5 seconds because it's always the ones who are ready to rumble. They never know how to rumble and they just get laid out. People who know how to fight do not fight. If you've taken any martial arts, you learn to use the martial arts. You only use them as a last resort. So you're not going around, well, this person said something to me, this person did this to me on this. You're ready it comes. I'm trying to think of the saying, a good king knows how to fight a war, but does not start a war. I believe it's paraphrasing a little there, but that's the attitude that you should kind of have with stuff like that. As for this whole saga, I'm sorry she had to go through it, but had you taken a little bit of time to get to know this person, you probably could have saved yourself a whole bunch of anguish and distraught and receiving text messages like that, which was really stupid, but I have a feeling she probably pushed him a little in that. So, another fun story time. All right, we're an hour into this, so I'm gonna wrap this up. We got a message here. Can we get it? There we go. Too much football in this story. I hate football. Well, it was only he had to see the game. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. You know. Any other comments? Let's see. All that could have been settled during a phone call and meeting and never take place. Yeah, we went over that. Okay, so yeah, we're caught up with comments. Thank you everyone for commenting. Drop your comments in if you're watching the video on replay. Thank you to everyone for watching. They're fun stories, I guess. Some people don't. If you don't like it, tune out. Like I said earlier with the disclaimer, if anything you found to be offensive or anything, just tune it out. If you wish to watch the rest of the video, go for it. If you don't, I understand. But I put these out there so we can talk about stuff. And, this is the channel where we talk about things that make us angry and things that go through. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I'm as angry at her because kind of hear what she's gone through in the past. So we'll keep going with the rest of the stories because stories have good, lessons to learn. Much like tonight's lesson, just get as much information on someone as you can, and we'll keep it for a couple more weeks and see if the stories get better. Stories don't get better. Who knows? but it's fun. So join me every Saturday night, hopefully the same time. I gotta remember that. And that'll be it for me tonight. This Tuesday, if you're watching the show, the end of June, this Tuesday, July 2nd, watch the Angriest Man in Orlando show and have a better breakdown on the debate. And I'm going to do a little surprise and interesting and informative. So set your clocks for time at 8 o'clock Tuesday. And that'll be it. All right. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Have a great night. I'll see you next time.